Good evening, this is Debbie Davis. So I wanted to read a little bit more from this book that I feel is really interesting information and about our history, but and also touch on a few more things. Yeah, when I was walking the other day, I don't know if you saw the video in my shorts. There was these people out there with these signs, and I always wonder, like, what makes these people go out there with these dumb signs, So I just walked right up to him and I said, "Who's paying you?" And this woman got in my face. And I said, and I started recording. She goes, "Don't record me," and she gets all snippy with me. And then when I walked away, she admitted that she goes, "Yes, I'm a Democrat, and you're an asshole." And so yeah, these are not nice people. These people are paid by the Democrats, and she admitted that she was a Democrat, and she called me an asshole. Just for asking who's paying her. These are not nice people. These are paid people to go to put up with these signs by George Soros money and probably your own tax money. She admitted she was a Democrat. So it's the Democrats paying the Democrats, other Democrats, to put out these dumb signs. And it's probably with your tax money. So anytime you see these people, don't applaud them. Don't applaud them, and don't even, pay any attention to them. They're just total idiots. You can see the video. They did not want to see their faces shown when I said, "Who's paying you?" Because they knew they were doing something wrong. This guy puts his, the sign up, it's just like they knew they were being paid to do something that was dumb or illegal or something, and they didn't care because they just took the money. Or they were just downright Democrats doing it for the other, so don't even pay attention to these people who are with these dumb signs. They are not volunteers doing this. This is an organized thing by the Democrats. And it's probably George Soros money or your own tax money. So I have no idea why anybody even pays them any attention. Why would you honk for some idiots that are getting paid by Democrat money with your tax money to put out dumb signs that don't mean anything? Okay. So anyway, really, I've always been where do they find these people to do these, demonstrations and stuff? These are Democrats paying other Democrats. I mean, don't even just ignore them. They're just total morons. But anyway, I'm finding some other really interesting things in this book that I wanted to share. And okay, so it really pertains to a lot of our history here. And it says in October 1781, General George Washington's army of about 17,000 men surrounded Yorktown and began attacking the British troops. So it's always been all about the money. It's always been all about the money. It had to do with the British. They were trying to take over our dollar, basically. Attacking British troops who were under the command of General Charles Cornwallis. The siege lasted 3 weeks and ended with the surrender of Cornwallis and his 8,000 soldiers. This was the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. It had to do with, it always has to do with the British are always trying to take over our dollar. So there's a lot of history here that pertain to these wars that have they've been trying to infiltrate our money system over here, the British, basically with the Illuminati, because the Illuminati is based over in Europe. Okay, so this was the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. The first acts of the Continental Congress at the close of the war was to redeem all the colonial, okay, at 100 cents on the dollar. Okay. The Revolutionary War of 1776, the War of 1812, and the Civil War. Each was a money war perpetrated by the international banking houses of Europe in an effort to gain control of the monetary system of the United States. Okay, so basically the European bankers, primarily the Bank of England. Okay, so Thomas Jefferson so one of the presidents said, to allow the European bankers to establish a central bank, thus controlling our currency, is worse than putting a British soldier in every home. He knew what that meant. So this is why we had these Revolutionary Wars that they don't even teach this in history class anymore. Okay, so and one of the heroes of the War of 1812 was Andrew Jackson. He became president in 1829, voicing his hatred for the central bank. He called them a bunch of snakes. In 1833, Jackson ordered the Secretary of the Treasury to remove government deposits from the Bank of the United States and place them in the state banks. He paid off the national debt, thus making the United States free from the control of the international bankers. Congress then refused to renew the charter for the National Bank, driving it into bankruptcy. Okay, so Andrew Jackson was a hero. He was the only president in history to ever do so. That we were free at that time in 1835 under the control of the European banking houses. What happened next? Mexico invaded Texas. On March 5th, this is when the Alamo happened. On March 5th, 1836, Mexican troops led by Santa Anna engineered the fall of the Alamo. The intended purpose was to go north into the Mason-Dixon line and eastward to Atlantic coast. Okay, thus the South would be ruled by Mexico, so that was right after that was in the 1836. Okay. All right, so basically there's a lot of history here. Okay. Then there was gold found in California, and then that was, was a whole nother thing in the whole mix. This obviously would keep the United States from the control of the international bankers because we found the gold. Okay, and 2 years later, in 1861, the Civil War began. Abraham Lincoln refused to borrow money from the European bankers. Abraham Lincoln was a good president, as well as Jackson, and refused to borrow money from the European bankers with which to fight the war. Instead, he printed the first United States notes, the greenback, the infamous $2 bill, to finance the war. Okay. In March 4th, 1912, Woodrow Wilson was inaugurated as 28th President of the United States. He immediately set about to establish a central bank. Okay, so he turned out to be a snake. He campaigned that he was going to be against the central bank, but then he ended up establishing a central bank. So Woodrow Wilson turned out to be a snake. Okay, and then and he was part of establishing the Federal Reserve System that we have now. Then after that, World War I broke out. Okay, so it's always been a money war. It's always been a money war. Okay, so I just want to read a little bit more about this. All wars of history have been money wars. Yeah, even in the Armageddon, which we're in right now, is an attempt of a monetary control. This is where we're at right now. It's always been all about the money, so we have to know our history, so what it's been like so far. So But, you know, one thing that, oh, and then somebody sent me an email about some Roundup or weed killer being found in alcohol products. And so I wanted to put that out there. And, well, okay, who do you think might be doing that, poisoning our food and our drinks and everything like that? Well, that would be the CIA. So, so anyway, watch out for that now, because apparently there's Roundup and weed killer that now the CIA has put into alcohol beverages, because they're trying to kill us all, because of course they are part of the New World Order agenda. Okay.